Hi, everybody. I can't see too well up there. You could say hi back. So, a few months ago, a guy made the news because when he was hiking in Utah, he pushed over a rock formation that was 170 million years old. He just kind of got behind it and he rocked it a little bit, and he pushed, and it toppled over, and then he high-fived his friends, and they were getting all this on video. You might have seen the video. It was kind of making the rounds, and I saw it, and I had a surprisingly strong reaction to it. I got really stung by it. I got mad. Like, I wanted to go find this guy and push him over, because he didn't realize that he wasn't the star of this show. Now, the stars of this show are wind and sand and erosion and time and beauty and colors. And I'm talking about this dumb guy in Utah because I think, as far as I can tell, that his approach is exactly the opposite to what I want to get out of the world. Like, I want to stand in awe of things and have them affect me. And so I just want to show you a few things so that over the next couple of minutes, you can stand in awe with me. One of the big surprises about writing about New York City is that you can find vast forces here. They're active. I mean, it's a big artificial place, but there are things here. And the first thing I want to talk about is old, dead things. I'm talking really, really, really old, fossils. I have three favorite ways to see fossils in this city. And the first one is obvious. You go to the Museum of Natural History, and it's full of them. You can do this on an ordinary day, and it's great. I'm lucky. I have a friend who works there, and so at night, I get to go to the dinosaur collection room. And I get to see the forklift that they use to move these gigantic old bones around. Didn't see that coming, but it makes sense. And I got to see the T-Rex skull up close, and I got to touch real mineralized dinosaur skin. Now, the second way is a little bit sly. It takes some initiative. Fossils are just mineralized creatures, and they're usually embedded in some kind of rock. And New York City is full of rock. There are whole buildings that are covered with rock. And if you know where to look, you can see fossils in the walls. This is Saks Fifth Avenue. And you see these on the display windows. There are these verticals here with this kind of yellow marble. If you look to the one to the far right, you can see this. Now, this is a Devonian coral, and right now it's stuck between the mannequins and the taxis. But 400 million years ago, it looked something like this. How long ago is 400 million years? Well, the Earth didn't have any animals that lived on the Earth. Every animal on the planet swam for a living. If you go up the street a little bit, you come to Tiffany's, and here you see these window surrounds. It's this pretty purple, pink marble. By the way, this is an excellent way for people to think that you're insane. If everyone's doing their thing in New York, and you're just standing like this above something like this, makes you feel like you've got a secret. If you get real close, you can see this. Now, this is a sea lily, and millions of years ago, it looked something like that. This, Now, I love the Rockefeller Center. It doesn't have the prettiest fossils, but I think that they're my favorite. Can you see why? Can you see them? No. Can you see them now? No. Can you see them now? No. Can you see them now? Maybe. Can you see them now? It's filled with tiny little marine creatures. This is called this is called Indiana limestone. And I like it because this was forming when Indiana wasn't Indiana yet. The whole middle of the United States was a big sea. And all of this green stuff is water. So when you're looking at this rock, you were looking at Indiana when it was the bottom of the sea. And this is a real picture of it. And I think that this is the best thing that fossils can teach us, because they just say that things change. The way that things are now is not the only way that things can be. And you get this lesson also if you find fossils in the third way, and that is collecting your own on the beach. If you go to Far Rockaway after a storm, the beach is just full of junk. You can also get a very interesting collection of shoe insoles, by the way, if you want. But some of this stuff is fossils. You can find oysters like this. You can find whole crabs that are locked in rock. And these things were alive 10,000 years ago. How long ago is 10,000 years? Well, people weren't really farming yet. There was no permanent architecture. There was no reading because nobody had invented writing yet, and they wouldn't for thousands of years. If you wanted to tell an adventure story, if you wanted to write it down, you had to make a picture. And so every culture goes through a period where not only is it normal not to be able to read, it's the only available state. The world's flexible. Things change. Now we read. So enough talking about dead things. I'm going to talk about a couple of live things now. These are some really interesting plants. They have kind of one root in the past, you could say. Sometimes people call these living fossils. And this is one. This is a ginkgo tree. You've certainly seen ginkgo trees in the city. They're everywhere. And what's interesting about them is that they don't belong here. They belong to the planet Earth of hundreds of millions of years ago. You can see this if you look at the leaves. The leaves have something very strange about them. This tree is so strange, it was discovered in fossils before it was discovered in life. When the people who study ancient plants saw these leaves, they thought, this is some weird thing from a long time ago. And then they found out that there's one spot on planet Earth where it didn't die out yet. It's a place in China that's all red, apparently, that dot. That's the only place on planet Earth where this tree was still hanging around. And what's curious is if you look at the leaf. Now, the leaf, can you see anything weird about the leaf? Does anything strike you? There are no crossing veins. It's all radial. Poof. Actually, this is kind of like a pine needle that was smashed flat, like that. And as soon as they found out that this tree was alive, they started planting them everywhere, and they thrive in cities. They love really dirty city air. And people started to realize ginkgo trees are really, really pretty. And then they realized ginkgo trees are really, really, really stinky. In the autumn, all of the seeds fall, and you've probably seen this. You've probably done this. You smash them, and then it smells. The entire city for weeks smells like somebody sprinkled really gross cheese on top of garbage. And the crazy thing is that this smell is probably on purpose. Well, not on purpose. It's by design. The leading theory is that this is a stench that the ginkgo tree came up with to attract dinosaurs that like to eat rotten meat. I like the look on this dinosaur's face, like he really likes rotten meat. Now, these are really, really hard theories to prove, but if this one is true, it means that there is dinosaur food growing on every avenue of New York City. Kind of amazing to think about. So here's another tree that you can see all over the place. This is a honey locust, and check out these thorns. Some of these thorns are 2 feet long. I'm not kidding. Now, what do you need to do with a thorn that's 2 feet long? Well, when you're going up against this, it's useful. Now, this is a mastodon. They were here up until last ice age, and they loved to strip the bark off of trees. And the honey locust said, try another tree. So when you're walking down the street and you see these gigantic thorns, you are seeing this trick that this tree evolved. But you can't see why it evolved the trick because mastodons are extinct. So these plants are kind of stuck in time. So we've seen fossils, we've seen living fossils. Let's see some living things, normal living things going about their daily business. You don't have to be of the past to be fascinating. If you are alive now, you're a masterpiece. It's so much competition out there. If you are still around, and that includes you guys, you are a masterpiece by definition. This is my favorite masterpiece right now. It's a medium-sized bird with a face like a rabbit. It's called a woodcock, and I saw it in a weird place. I saw it in Bryant Park. And this is a migrating bird. It has this long voyage. It comes from down south, and it flies through our territories on its way to Maine. So it was flying, and it saw a green rectangle in the middle of the gray city, and it decided to take a break. And I was very lucky to see it because the guide that I was with said that he had never heard of one being in Bryant Park before, but there it was. And I kind of fell in love with this bird. The face is so strange. These eyes are so far back on the head that it can see better behind where there might be a threat than it can in front, which is just basically dirt and worms. And it doesn't need to see so well in the front anyway because it has nerves all the way along its beak. It can feel underground. It can even grab underground, like fingertips. So I thought that was impressive. Here's this heroic traveler, but it's very humble. If you want big, in-your-face impressive, New York can do that too. You're probably not surprised to learn. This is a whale, a humpback whale. And I like this photo because you can see the Empire State Building in the background and a whale in the foreground. And this is the thing that we're missing. That's how big they are. So these things, they lunge feed. They come out from the deep, and they create these enormous explosions and splashes, and they're amazing, and they're powerful. And there was this huge one that was coming right for the boat at one point. And you could see the fin, and then you could see the fin drop, and you could see the shadow. And as it was passing under the boat, I just had this moment. And it was the opposite of the urge to change anything. I felt wide open, and I felt smaller than usual. And I didn't have anything to add. And I realized that the best thing that I could do for this guy was just to leave him alone. And I think that's a really good spot to be in. I think out and among amazing forces, wherever you find them, it could be in a big city, and open and respectful. close enough so that you can be affected by it, but far enough away that you can see how the things relate. And you see how they fit together to form this nice, big, fascinating picture. Thank you.